In today's video, we're diving into the Sinterklaas festivities in Austria and comparing them to the rest of Europe. How is it celebrated? What do Sinterklaas and his helpers look like? And is this tradition as controversial as it can sometimes be in Europe, like in the Netherlands or Belgium? Let's find out. Before we dive into this topic, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think the Sinterklaas tradition should evolve in Austria? And if you want to see more content diving into cultural debates and European perspectives, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. While in the rest of Europe the famous Sinterklaas arriving by steamboat from Spain, Austria has its own version of the saintly figure, known as Nikolaus. On December 6th, Saint Nicholas Day is celebrated in many Austrian regions. Like in the rest of Europe, Nikolaus is a kind and generous figure who rewards children who've been good throughout the year. However, the Austrian tradition is distinct in several ways. Unlike the Dutch Sinterklaas, Nikolaus is more closely tied to Christian traditions, and his appearance is often linked to religious ceremonies rather than grand parades. Children receive small gifts like chocolates, nuts, and mandarins, but the event is usually quieter and more focused on family and community. Now we are going to talk about Nikolaus's helpers. And here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of the cheerful Black Pete figures from the other tradition, Nikolaus in Austria is accompanied by a much darker and scarier figure, Krampus. Krampus is a horned, devil-like creature with a terrifying appearance. He's covered in fur, wears chains and bells, and often carries a bundle of sticks or a sack. While Nikolaus rewards good children, Krampus is there to frighten the naughty ones. In fact, some communities host Krampuslauf, what means Krampus runs, where people dressed as Krampus roam the streets to scare onlookers. This part of the tradition is rooted in Alpine folklore and has a much darker tone than the playful Sinterklaas celebrations. In Austria, the story of Nikolaus and Krampus is centered around rewarding good behavior and warning against bad behavior. Nikolaus typically visits children on the evening of December 5th or on December 6th, often at home or in schools. Unlike in the Netherlands, he doesn't come down the chimney while children are sleeping. Instead, his arrival is more of a formal visit, sometimes announced by the ringing of a bell. Krampus accompanies Nikolaus, but he doesn't literally carry children away in a sack. Instead, he symbolically punishes naughty children by threatening them with his bundle of sticks, root, or making noise with his chains and bells. For most kids, it's a playful warning, though Krampus's frightening appearance can be genuinely scary for some. Unlike the discussions around Black Pete in the Netherlands, where his appearance has sparked debates about racism and colonial history, Krampus is generally not a political issue in Austria. The figure is seen as a folkloric character rather than a symbol of oppression. However, Krampus's frightening nature is sometimes debated among parents and educators. Some feel the tradition can be too intense for young children, as Krampus's terrifying looks and actions can genuinely scare them. In response, some schools and communities opt for a toned-down version of Krampus or even leave him out altogether. In Austria, Krampus hasn't sparked the same level of political controversy as the Black Pete debate in the Netherlands, but there has been some discussion about his role in modern society. Some people have raised concerns about the frightening nature of Krampus, especially for young children, and there are calls to modify or soften his image to make the tradition more child-friendly. While these discussions are not as widespread as the debates over Black Pete, there is a growing awareness of how Krampus might be perceived in a more modern, sensitive context. Over the years, Krampus has indeed evolved. While his origins lie in darker folklore, today's Krampus is often portrayed in a more theatrical, less threatening manner, especially in public events like Krampus runs. This shift can be compared to the changing discussions surrounding Black Pete, where people have questioned the historical implications of his appearance. Both traditions reflect a tension between preserving folklore and adapting to contemporary values and sensitivities. Some of the children are afraid, but it depends on the child. Many children love the excitement of Nikolaus and Krampus visiting, while others are genuinely frightened by Krampus. Parents often use Krampus as a way to encourage good behavior, but there's a growing awareness that the tradition should be handled carefully to avoid traumatizing young kids. The tradition of Nikolaus and Krampus reflects a balance of reward and punishment. It's not just about celebrating kindness and generosity through Nikolaus, but also about acknowledging that bad behavior has consequences, symbolized by Krampus. This duality is rooted in Austria's folklore and Catholic tradition. Unlike the Netherlands, where Sinterklaas is a more cheerful and commercialized figure, Austria's Nikolaus has a stronger connection to religion and morality. The Krampus, meanwhile, adds an element of thrilling folklore to the mix, making the tradition uniquely Austrian. So, there you have it. While Sinterklaas in Austria shares some similarities with the version in the rest of Europe, the presence of Krampus gives it a completely different flavor. Whether you find it fascinating or frightening, it's an intriguing example of how traditions can vary across Europe. What do you think of the Austrian Sinterklaas and Krampus? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from across Europe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on Europe Reporter.